everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a good day. Welcome back for another episode of the Women in Property series, where today I had Ashley Dawn, who has built an amazing social media platform and has had an incredible journey within property over the last couple of years, where she's literally gone from agriculture and soil into property sourcing and buying her own. And I'm so excited to share this with you, where she talks about her journey, about not getting a promotion that she was deserved and told that she was going to get, into how she was sourcing, buying properties, and just networking in general, as well as building her personal brand. So let's get straight into it. Hey Ashley, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks so much for jumping on. I know it was very last minute, but yeah, great to have you on board for the series.
No, thank you so much for having me. I feel honoured to be here.
Right, so we're going to go back to the start. Who is Ashley?
So I am Ashley Dawn, so my background is nothing to do with property. I was a specialist in soil health, so it was basically my job to go out on. Yeah, I know. It's like one of those 1 in a million jobs. And to be fair, I absolutely loved it. It was my job to go out and teach farmers how to get a higher number of crops off the same amount of land through improving the health of their soils, which is obviously really important. And I think that's one thing I've learned. I like to be a part of industries that are making a difference. So whether it's housing, food, we need all of those things. So I loved my job. And at the time I was single. I was probably, I don't know, we're probably going back about 5 years, maybe. I was massively career driven, obsessed with what I was doing, loved the business. And I was trying to be a first time buyer. And I was literally going out and looking at all of these fixer uppers, the idea, like add value. And I just kept being outdone by investors. And I was like, what are they doing? Like, even if I offered more, they were getting the offers accepted. Didn't get it. And then obviously your Facebook is listening to you, and it came up with an advertisement saying, do you want to come on this property course? And I was like, well, there's free scones, count me in. So I dragged one of my best friends along, and then obviously got hooked in and kept like paying more and more and more, and was like, right, okay. And I basically used the tiny deposit I'd got for the house to go and do the property courses. But I kind of got the value from that point. But my intention was only to I got involved thinking about retirement and thinking, okay, it might be a good idea to get a few houses under my belt. I was raised in a buy-to-let for like 15 years of my life. And I thought, you know what, like there's some really good people out there that I can help by doing this, get my pension under my belt. I'll give it a go. And it was at that point, I was kind of doing all of the training, but not massively kind of out there buying or doing anything at that point. And my employers, who, like I say, I absolutely loved at the time, I was promised a promotion and a pay rise. And after a 45-minute kind of meeting to go through all of the promotion, that was the point where they said, but I'm really sorry, the managing director hasn't signed off the pay rise. So literally sat there like, I'm sorry, what? And I walked out. I was like, right, okay. I did go back, but at that point, and to be fair, my mum, who's like a powerhouse and my massive inspiration, she was like, don't go back. Your values mean more to you than that. And I was like, right, okay, no, I'm going to use my education in property. I'm going to start that ball rolling while I keep the income, knowing that my intention is obviously to leave. So I set up a sourcing business and started sourcing properties to lots of different investors, found some amazing deals, made some amazing connections, got the pay rise at about 11 months and handed in my notice at 12 months. And I was officially financially free, and I was able to go off and do my own thing. So,
so you got the promotion. So you were still working whilst you were going through property training. And you had to stay within your job because there was no way for you to go into that. How important was that factor of you staying in your job to help with the property side? Because a lot of people just, I quit my job, that's it, done. and then you can't really transition into property. Like, how did, like, I guess, what are your tips for that? Because you've been through that process.
Yeah, so like I said, my mum was like, leave. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that if I needed to have done, my mum would have kind of kept me afloat, if you like, because I'd moved back into my home, my
Mhm.
family home. So I stopped renting. I used to live in Lincoln, stopped renting in Lincoln, moved back in with my mum. So I'd already made that transition to be closer to my investment area. But she's like a proper like businesswoman, always charged rent and everything. So there was no free living at that point. So, and I had a car on finance. So I did have obviously bills to pay. And I think my mum would have just tried to get me to get another job, essentially. So it was either stay where I am, is it better the devil you know, and just do the job. Because like I said, I did enjoy the job. It wasn't the farmer's fault that
Yeah.
that had happened. So my day to day was fine. I just didn't feel valued at that point. But I guess it was a driver as well. It was my mission
Mm.
to go, I am never ever going to be down valued again in my entire life. And I
Yeah.
set myself that kind of goal. I felt like I meant more to myself than obviously I meant to them, which obviously is the case as an employer versus like a business
Yeah.
owner. You've got to put yourself first, haven't you? So I can appreciate where they were coming from. But yeah, for me, it was important to stay where I was until I'd got that kind of stability. And ultimately, I wasn't on a massive it was a real double-edged sword because I was earning, I think, off the top of my head, we're going back a number of years now, but I think I was earning about 22 grand. The pay rise was up to about 29 grand plus bonuses and whatnot.
So that's
So
still a significant amount. Yeah.
this is it. And what it meant was I was probably taking home about £1,500 a month. So in my head, I kind of calculated, right, okay, if I source one property a month, and the way I've always worked my sourcing business, you take 33% upfront to secure the deal. And then you take the remainder once the deal actually completes with the solicitors. So I was kind of going, okay, so if I take one deal a month, that was it. As long as I can find one deal, then that's £1,000 with a £3 sourcing fee. I'll take that £1,000 up front. Come month 4, once the conveyancing, it takes a bit longer now than it did back then. But come month 4, I'm thinking, right, okay, now I've got the £3 coming in every single month. So for me, I worked it out logically, going, okay, this is how much I need to replace my income. And that was absolutely fine for me to do so and stay in a job while I did it. And also, by not having got the pay rise, what tends to happen, we live to our means, don't we, as people? And
Yeah.
even when you get a pay rise of an extra 500 quid a month, you think, right, okay, I'm going to put so much aside and I'm not going to live on it. And then you end up just living to your means. So if I'd have got the pay rise, well, one, I don't think I would have ever left. I'm not sure I would have ever bought the properties. Got into sourcing and done the world of this. I think that was a massive trigger point for me. But two, I think it would have been harder to replace the income. So obviously, because my income was still at that lower level, I hadn't suddenly gained an extra like 8 grand or whatever it was. So it was actually a bit easier for me to leave potentially.
Yeah. I always, I had this like epiphany moment the other day, and it was like these little blessings that happen when it doesn't go your way. And there's so many things that I can now notice, like just even going back to school and things like that. These little things that didn't happen are such big blessings in the future. And I kind of want to take, even though it hurts initially, you just don't know. Like, you're going to be so thankful for whatever the reason for that happening. And I just feel like I'm having these like so many epiphany moments. Like, I'm so glad I didn't get into university the first time. I'm so glad I didn't get the grades, and like just all these little things. Like, I'm so glad I didn't get that first interview at Bupa. Oh my God, yeah, just so many. But it seems like it worked really, really in your favor, and like glad that you use that as a driver. And congrats on like leaving and knowing that your value is worth so much more. So fast forwarding onto a year where you did property education. When did you first get your first property? How hard was it, or how easy was it? And what did you do with it?
So it was tough. So basically, the education that I was taught was all money in, all money out.
Yeah.
So every single offer, and I had a board in my bedroom of like 50 property. Oh no, was it 50 or 100? I'm sure it was 50. And they said, you're likely to get one offer accepted every 50 offers, on money in, money out. And I was literally, I wrote every single property down. I would keep calling up the agents every time one fell out of bed. But I had no idea that that was just completely unrealistic in the market we're in. And then I decided, right, okay, I'm really going to network now, but not even just kind of the normal networking meetings. I thought I'm going to reach out to some people that might be willing to spare me a bit of time and go for coffee in our local investment area. So I kind of met up with people, and one of them said, well, okay, you're sourcing, and I've realized you are going to need to replace your income, but while you're still in your job, why don't you just park a handful of your sourcing fees, and then that's the money that you could leave in a deal. And I was like, oh my God, this never occurred to me. So if I source 3 properties at $9,000, that's roughly, for the sake of argument, obviously leaving $9,000 in a buy to let, but that's 33% return on investment, give or take a bit for my investment area. And I thought, right, okay, so that's all I need to do. So it was just like the blinkers came off, and that was what I went for. And then I met Thomas, who is my partner now. And I asked him if he would come on a viewing with me. And he was like, yeah, because he's a real socialite, and was like, yeah, I'm down for having a good time. It's a viewing, I'll come. And he loves kind of imparting his wisdom. And obviously he was massive into renovations. I had no idea. I was just going around with my tick list that I was given from the education. Right, okay, carpets are going to cost this, windows are going to cost this. And he was a bit like, no. The other major difference, taking him, somebody that obviously knew what they were doing, and he'd already been investing for years, he showed me, I was looking at a 2-bedroom house, and I was genuinely looking at that and going, well, this is a 2-bedroom. It's listed for the amount that a 2-bedroom should be listed for. And he said, all you have to do is change the bathroom into a bedroom. You've suddenly made it a 3-bedroom house, and you've uplifted the value by like 40K. I was like, no, you can't fit a bedroom in there, and there's no window. But what about that? What about? And he was like, no, just re-see it. And he showed me his vision. Obviously, put the offer in the next day, got it accepted, turned it into a 4-bed mini men. And I pulled all of the money out, by the way, which I wasn't anticipating. I expected to leave some in, but obviously I'd done my numbers really cautiously. We kept the renovation on budget, and I just had somebody there that knew what they were doing. So that's a massive thing for me, is you don't know what you don't know. If you're used to looking at a 2-bedroom house as a 2-bedroom house, go and connect with somebody that can see not just how to add value by new carpets and paint and this, that, and the other, how to add value by chopping up a property or doing different things to it. So massive game changer for me, just meeting the right people. And then obviously I made him my boyfriend. So he's here for life now. He's stuck, not getting rid of me.
Now you can go on every viewing with you, but that's amazing. And you're literally right, like you don't know what you don't know, and it's hard being stuck in a classroom or on Zoom or whatever the platform that they're using, and just like understanding it, okay, this is like the techniques to buy a property, or this is what you need to look out for. But every property is so different, like you cannot compare the properties together. And that's just amazing that you were able to kind of, instead of a buy to let, you've got a mini mo, which is going to be worth a lot more, and it's income wise it's a lot more anyway. It's like amazing to hear. And yeah, you literally just don't know what you don't know. I'm going to go back to what you kind of just said and kind of turn it into a tip, but how important was it for you to have someone that was in the property game already, rather than just I guess technically a friend, but someone that's not in the property game coming on a viewing with you? Because I think that's what the game changer is, isn't it?
It massively was. And I saw the potential in the property. It was a rundown property. So, and again, I think that's why it ended up being money in, money out, because I didn't even anticipate. My strategy was buy to lets. I am a buy-to-let person. I'm going out to buy buy-to-lets. And again, when he said we could turn it into a 3-bed, all right, okay, there's the uplift in value, but then you're still going to be a 30% ROI. Why don't you mini mow it, change the lounge into, and just put a stud wall up, change the lounge into another bedroom, and then suddenly you've got a money in, money out deal. And I was like, oh my God, like, where has this kid got all of his knowledge from? But of course he'd been there doing it for years. So yeah, that was, and I mean, you don't really hear many people talk about, like, he didn't charge for that service. He was just, I guess I'd weaseled my way in with like a really great group of people. And I think I mean, I must have been adding some kind of value to them. I have no idea, probably my sense of humour. I have no idea why they kept me hanging around. I don't know. But anyway, it just, yeah, having that other person, another set of eyes, different set of experience. And I'm pretty sure at the time, Thomas allowed me to use his build team as well, which was helpful to him to keep the team busy. So we were able to rotate them around my sourcing projects as well as his projects to keep them incentivized. There's another one in the pipeline, another one in the pipeline. So it was like, it was a really nice win-win.
This is such a beautiful story. Such a beautiful
It's like so romantic because it's so practical, but then there's kind of an element of romance there. I don't know.
Yeah. But
that's probably not typical though.
I found out that people are just so willing to help in this game. Not everyone is at the time that you think you need the help, but there are so many people that are willing to help, but you've got to be that person who's got to be nice. Like, you've probably got there. It's like people just say, hey, I want to get into property. Like, I'm not going to respond to that.
Yeah.
Like, add some, but even if you're like there showing up, you know, you've got personality, you're building relationships, like, people are going to help you at the end of the day. Even if it's not the person that you think it is, people are still going to be there. Everyone's like at different time, and you were just there showing up at the meetings like all the time, building your personal brand. And that's the beauty of it. People just shy away, like, oh, I'm just going to message people on Instagram, but make no effort to go out and meet them. Yeah. Anyway, but that's such a beautiful story because now you're in a relationship, you have 2 dogs, so yeah.
But I think that is a massive part of what you said as well, and I think this is what you're doing beautifully as well. I was massive on social media, and I decided I'm going to massively build my brand and my presence, and obviously had the sourcing business going, which was building my reputation. So when I DM'd these people to say, I don't suppose you've got a bit of time for me to bend your ear over a coffee, they already knew who I was, and they already knew that I was an action taker, that I was doing the viewings because I was posting all about it, that I was showing up, and they could see that they'd even been to some of the same properties that I'd been to, and they were getting the offers accepted and I wasn't. So I think they kind of wanted to help because they could see that, like you say, that you're an action taker and you're on social media and you are genuinely trying to do it.
Yeah, no, massively. We're going to move on to social media because I definitely want to ask you about that. But I'm going to go into a quick icebreaker. So at the top of your head, so some of these are like this or that, or just like a random question. So just think of whatever at the top of your head. So Netflix or cinema?
I'd probably say Netflix. I don't like to go out. I've become a hermit since COVID.
Tea or coffee?
Or tea. I don't like coffee. Thomas is coffee. I'm tea every day of the week.
I'm a coffee lover. Books or podcasts?
Oh, that depends on the time of the year, how I'm feeling. So normally I was a massive book reader. I'm a bath girl. I love sitting in the bath reading a book. But lately we're just way too busy on the house renovation. So now I'm a gym goer and a podcast listener. So I think I just mix it up depending on what's available time-wise and what I can do.
Yeah, I'm getting into the same. Do you listen to podcasts while you're in the gym?
Yeah, I do. Normally on a warm-up and a cool-down, and also when I walk the dogs. Yeah. It depends how much pump I need in my ears.
Yeah.
If I need more motivation, the music.
I tried to listen to podcasts in the gym. I just can't do it. I don't know why. I just get really bored. I'm like, when is this going to end? So I'll just forget it. Only when I'm walking. But yeah. And your favourite type of holiday?
We're skiers. We are massive skiers, and we haven't been for years because of COVID and everything that's been going on. So we've cancelled, I think, 2 now. And hopefully we do have one booked for, I think it's Feb next year, but we are going to Mexico in August. So, but we are definitely snow over sun.
Okay, I'm the opposite. I hate snow. Cool. So going on to the next part, let's talk about social media because you've grown a great brand on different platforms. I've predominantly known you through Instagram, and I know you've got a great brand on Instagram. how daunting was it for you to say you've gone from this agricultural background to say now you're a property investor, and like your friends are thinking, what the hell is she doing? Talk me through that process.
So for me, this was one of the weird bits because obviously I had a job and these guys had pissed me off, and I was like, right, obviously I'm switching my attention. So I changed my name. So, and then one thing I've got to say is when you change it, you can't change it back. So my name's Ashley Huntley Rugg, but I rebranded myself to Ashley Dawn so that people at work wouldn't be able to find who I am. But I needed my accounts to be public, so obviously people could follow me and get in touch and raise finance, etc. So it was a really weird transition point. I don't think from a friends and family perspective. I think my friends and family know if I'm going after something, I'm going for it. There's no holding back. But yeah, it was that kind of transition between, and they did find out at work. They did, like, I left one person on who was also looking to do a side hustle. And that's my advice. Don't just take all of them off. And if you need to rebrand, which is what I did. And that was probably the reason why I primarily went over to Instagram, because most of them weren't on Instagram at work, but they were on my Facebook. So obviously I had to remove everyone and just say, it's not personal, sorry. But then I thought, right, okay, I'm just going to move on to Instagram. And it just grew and grew and grew. And I was a bit like, okay. But yeah, I think I wanted to be the property girl. I wanted to be that. And not many people were using Instagram back then. It's a little bit more popular now, but back then it wasn't. So it was kind of easy to be known in the space. And I'm quite loud, I'm quite brash, I'm quite out there, and I'm just me. So it just felt like, well, it's a platform for video, and I'm just going to do that because I wasn't afraid of doing it. So I was like, well, play to your strengths.
Yeah, that's so good, because I know a lot of people like hate doing those first posts and stuff. And I look back, and someone even mentioned to me the other day, I remember your first video, I was like, oh, cringe, like just, the lighting was bad, I was just horrible. But you know, you got to start somewhere. But I guess, what has building your brand done for you in terms of property? Like what do you think are the advantageous points of it?
So when I got started, obviously I was a sourcing agent, and that was massive because I was soon able to add value to people. And then when I had deals come up, they would go within minutes, literally within minutes. And I never struggled to find connections with people that wanted the properties. So it meant that I could physically take them off market and be like, or if they were on the market, or if they weren't, and you direct a vendor and you know there's an emotional backstory or something, you've got to find the right buyer. I never struggled to find the right investor. So that was amazing from that side. And then obviously I was able to use my sourcing kind of credentials and showing people the properties and showing people that we had the builders and that we're turning them around, and stupidly sourced some all money out deals. So obviously I became the really go-to human for that. I was like, for God's sake. And then kind of got myself a coach, the penny dropped, stopped doing that, raised the money. And again, because I had no money in terms of my own, I could leave the money in from sourcing, but I couldn't raise the capital or the all of the other bits that you need for the renovation. I was like, well, I don't have 60k in my bank. Or like, oh my God, am I going to be okay with this? Is it going to work or not? And obviously I was part living off the sourcing money as well. And I was like, but yeah, I've never, touch wood to this day, struggled to raise angel finance. As soon as we've got a deal, yes, touch all the wood. But yeah, we've done some fantastic projects like independently. Obviously we've now even taken all of our property knowledge, bought our own home, massive renovation, not been touched for 30 years.
Oh wow.
Bought, I think it was about 6% at below market value. And yeah, obviously doing a massive renovation. The whole thing is angel backed, and then this will become basically an all money out deal. So obviously then we take on the mortgage payments, and we've got left 60 grand equity. So
fast forward, what, 5 years, you got your fixer upper?
We're broken up.
Oh, can you hear me?
I think we've broken up, haven't we?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, I have no idea what happened. I think I got the internet is unstable, but hopefully it should be fine. So you finally got your fixer upper 5 years on then?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it breaking up or
Oh,
no?
are we back?
Is it?
Yeah, it is. I think we're back again.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
can
if
see
it's
you.
me.
Like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It
Are we
just
back?
keeps breaking up. I'm like, ah. Yeah, so we did get the fixer upper, like you say, what, 5 years down the line. But yeah, so social media, massive for raising angel finance. And I would say 90% of my angel investors I've never even met in person.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
that is the power of social media. Yeah, so they've never even met me. They've seen me. People feel like they know you, and you know when you'll have
Yeah.
this where you're at networking events or whatever, and people go, "Oh my god!" Like they know you, and you're like, "I don't know who you are, but hi." It's that. It's that. That if you can genuinely be you and come across authentically, then yeah, you can just Zoom these days. People don't need to meet you to give you, and we've got some large sums of money from people that have never met us in, still to this day, the money's working and they've still never met us, which I think is crazy, but it works.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah, that is pretty impressive. And for people who don't believe in social media or posting in social media, this is literally the power of social media. There's no excuse not to be on it. What are your top 3 tips for anyone that is, building their social media platforms? Have I lost you?
So no, I think we're just about hanging in. I
Okay.
think. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, number one, being consistent. You got to make a plan and show up. So everybody's got different life commitments, haven't they? Everybody's got, some people have got children, some people have got dogs, some people go to gym, some people have got a job. Like whatever your commitments are, just be consistent to your plan and don't kind of get lost in the noise of going, well, this person's doing all of this. Like if you've not got that time, then don't compare yourself to other people.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, massively, you got to go on video. You got to show up. You got to, whether it's reels, whether it's stories, whether we need to see you, and we need to see you consistently enough to get to know you. Again, there's a reason why people are willing to drop large sums of money into my bank account, is because they feel like they know me.
Mm-hmm.
And all you've got to do is just turn up, but not just behind a photo anymore. Unfortunately, that's probably not really, it's just not the way the platforms want to go, is it?
Yeah.
And then I think the other one is get fit. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I think you've got to be on all 3. And there are other things out there. Mm-hmm. And don't overwhelm that. You can post reels on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And there are apps you can use to move one over to the other, and there are different things, so it doesn't need to be an overwhelm. But yeah, my advice is definitely get fit. If you want to get out there to the widest audience, then that's a great place to start.
Amazing. Yeah, I tried TikTok and I just can't. It's so, like, timing wise, just the consistency level on TikTok is on a whole nother level. But I did find a way where you can save the video without using a different app, so without the TikTok watermark, so which is massively beneficial because I can just upload it onto Instagram. But I've just stopped with TikTok now because I might try and get back into it. But yeah, Instagram is like probably my baby, and YouTube now. So, but TikTok has like massive growth. Instagram. TikTok has like massive growth. I've seen so many platforms in the property space like just growing like crazy amounts. So yeah, definitely worth it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think you can hit the widest audience quicker on TikTok than you can any other platform. But I also think it's a bit more negative. I think there's a lot more trolling that goes on there. And like I was on a really good consistent streak, got some really horrible like trolls. And I was like, oh, no, I don't like this. I like Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Instagram still has its trolls, but probably not to the level of TikTok. But cool, let's go into one more little like icebreaker thing, and then we're going to go into what you're doing now in property. So what's the last book/podcast you've listened to? I guess podcast for you.
Yeah, it is. It will 9 times out of 10 always be Stephen Bartlett, A Diary of a CEO. Yeah. is it Monday today? Yeah, it's Monday today. So I've been listening to the Johnny Wilkinson, who used to be the rugby player. So I'm still going through it. Normally I would have had it, I probably would have listened to it by now because I speed them all up. He's really slow at talking as well, by the way. I've sped him up even faster than normal.
I'm on like 1.5 and I'm like, he's just talking at a normal pace. I'm so confused.
I'm at like 2.5 because I was like, this is really, because I even went in and thought, oh, have I taken the speed off? And I was like, no, I haven't. You're really slow. Like, bloody hell. But yeah, I love everything about Stephen. We're obsessed with him in this household. Obviously, Dragon's Den, we watch all of that and listen to all of his podcasts. And yeah, we love him. So every Monday, that's where
he's gone out on Thursdays now as well. So like Mondays and Thursdays are my commute days. I'm like in the morning listening to him. So
I'm looking forward to the Karen Walsh one. Is that her name?
Yes.
Is that how you say her name?
The lady,
yeah, the one
from Apprentice.
She's on the Alex.
Who?
Yeah, with she's like the football lady.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I keep seeing the Instagram stories of I'm like, is this out yet? Could I listen to it? But yeah, what's one thing you can't live without?
I'd probably be really, well, obviously the dogs. I mean, the dogs, obviously. Thomas, obviously. But I would say we've really got into the gym at the minute. And I pulled my shoulder last week. So I've basically had to keep doing cardio and, but I've really got into the weights exactly like you have. And yeah, I love it. And I really feel like it's
I hate cardio.
part of our routine now. Yeah, me too. That lifestyle.
Yeah, it's so good when you enjoy it as well, and it makes such a big difference to everything in life. So yeah, I was going to ask what your next holiday is, but you've already told me what the next holiday is. What's one materialistic thing you can't live without?
I'd probably say my phone. I feel like, when you leave your phone and you lose it and you feel like your arm's falling off. I feel I need my phone. I'm one of those girls. You need your social media. You need like your phone calls, your WhatsApp groups, all of those things. Yeah, I need my phone.
Yeah. Honestly, I would cry if I lose my phone. And like I smashed my phone. I dropped I don't know if you can see it, but like I dropped a dumbbell on it. And I literally the day I was like, I'm not going to get the iPhone 13. And now I'm scared it's just going to stop working at some point, and definitely can't happen in Sri Lanka. Otherwise, I'm going to have to buy a phone out there. But yeah. Anyways, let's get back to this. So, what are you doing in property now? Talk us through some of your properties that you've done. Fill me in with everything property.
Yeah. So this year we went on actually a bit of a selling streak because. I'm not gonna lie, people were willing to pay way over the odds for things, and I was a bit like, why are you willing to pay this much for a buy to let? But they were like, we're desperate, like we know the builder's been done up to the right standard, blah blah blah. So yeah, we ended up selling off only a couple of the properties, but we just thought the market's high, make the most of it. And now we just got a buy to let accepted literally 2 days ago. Nice little, thank you, a nice little doer-upper, tinkerer, nothing major, but a lot of our properties are terrace houses, and I was like, this one's a semi, that makes a nice change.
What else can you do with it?
Exactly. And then obviously our home is that's taking up the majority of our time at the moment, which we're quite glad about actually, because I feel like with everything going on with COVID, it's a good time for us because we're not used to paying these prices. We're not used to getting such dreadful return on investments, which I know you just got to go with what the market's doing and this, that and the other, but we're just not used to that life.
It's crazy because the banks aren't seeing what the value of what the current market is at the moment, and there's a big discrepancy between the mortgage offers that you're going to get compared to what the selling price is.
Yeah. Well, it's bonkers, isn't it? It's just gone mad, and what people are willing to pay. I'm like, this is crazy. But it's a nice time for us to focus on our home, and it's a 4-bed Edwardian semi. Hadn't been touched for 30 years. So the whole thing, we're talking a massive. This is the biggest renovation we've ever done, and it's a lot of structural, roof raises, like bedroom split. It's like the whole shebang, basically.
Oh wow.
But yeah, massive job. And then obviously it was a good idea to get a puppy at the same time and try and raise him in this house, which is obviously going to be chaotic. But yeah, I don't think we like to get bored. And then what else have we got? We've got a 6-bed HMO.
Oh wow.
That we need to get finished. We've had on the back burner for way too long, but ideally we'd like to take it down the kind of social housing side of things. So we're just waiting on seeing what we can get for that at the moment. Otherwise we might just sell that because it's huge, and I can guarantee we'd get way more money for it than we ever envisioned when it got bought. There is another buy-to-let being worked on at the moment, which is quite good for us because we're typically too heavily involved, and that's one thing by being really heavily involved in our home renovation that's meant we've had to start outsourcing a little bit more with some of the build stuff. We usually did that with the sourcing clients, but tended to get quite hands-on with our own stuff to keep the ROI better. But we're trying to learn that that's not always the best thing. So Thomas has actually trained up one of his HMO tenants, and he's now able to do most of first fix, a lot of the joinery work, quite a lot of different things. So we've got him doing that at the moment. Yeah, so it's he was out of work. Thomas said, come and help me, I'll teach you. And then if you want to do the next one and then get paid for it. So yeah, it's quite nice. It's working really well. A nice win-win, that one.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like just random things, like just never know. This is what the beauty of life is, like just always being present and just saying yes to like everything. So but yeah, wow, you've got so much going on. Like how do you manage everything? How do you manage everything? You've got so much going on, like this property, that property, doing your own home, you've just got a new dog.
Probably not very well. We're probably not the right people to, well, one of the things that happened is the letting agents retired, and what we've done is brought it in-house, but through Thomas's mum. So Thomas's mum takes a salary, and she's amazing at it. Like, that is her bag. So she does all of the tenant finds and all of the viewings and fills all of the properties. So we don't have anything to do with that side, which is obviously amazing. And it just works really well, and it keeps it in-house. Yeah. She's also very good at making sure that the turnover is really low. And I think that's a big positive for us over and above using a letting agency, because she's more thorough, because she's more invested, I guess, with it being in-house and in the family. So that's a big move that we made, is to stop doing any of that and just handball that over to somebody that we know is going to do a really, really good job. But otherwise, we're really bad at just parking a property and just going, right, okay, it's in okay condition, so we'll just park it, rent it out as it is, that's fine, and then we'll come to it in 6 months' time when we've got the time. Or, like I say, training up Michael, who can now go in and do the buy-to-let. But again, there's still only one of him. And now we do obviously outsource all of the electrics, all of the heating system, whereas in time gone by, Thomas did all of it.
Oh, wow.
So literally everything. So we're getting better at outsourcing, but we're still probably not quite there. But yeah, we're
getting there.
I think we're addicts, aren't we? And when you're both full time in it, then I guess what else are we gonna do? I don't know. Buy more dogs. There's
that famous that viral rule that's going on about saying, like, I quit my 9 to 5 and now I work like 24 hours. It's like literally I was like seeing so many property people do it, and I was just like, this is literally what property is.
It's a really funny thing, isn't it? Because I see people that are like, oh, we've got the business to a point where I'm sunbathing in the back garden and I've got a VA and I don't really have to do anything. And to be honest, I don't think we would ever be those people. I don't think we're wired to just, there's a reason we like skiing over like sunny holidays. We like to be moving, and I don't know, I just think that that's the way we're wired. We don't sit still very well.
Yeah. No, thanks so much for sharing. And last little bit, what are your top 3 pieces of advice? I feel like that didn't make sense, but what are your top 3 pieces of advice for anyone who is getting into property from your experience? Like, you've gone through a lot in property. And like that transition, what are your, I'm going to stop waffling, what are your top 3 tips?
I think definitely make the most of social media. I would not be where I am today without it. Fact. And that's in terms of relationship building, that's in terms of raising finance, in terms of the sourcing business, in terms of growing my own brand, in terms of my other business, like that. Everything to do with social media has changed my life, genuinely. So yes, it takes time and a bit of nurturing to get it up to that level. But yeah, I think you've if you're not on social media, you're probably a bit of a dinosaur. So unless you've got a plan to raise finance and do all of these things off social media, I definitely think you need to be on it. So I think that's a number 1 tip. No matter what age, no matter what type of person you are, just learn. I think the second thing is probably getting a right coach in some way or another. I definitely did that. So I got the traditional education in the classroom, but then essentially actually having people like Thomas and making those connections, whether you pay for it or whether you can swap skills with somebody. If you're really good at social media and they're really good at property, is there something where you can add value to each other? It doesn't have to be a financial trade-off. It might be something else that you can help them with. So connect with those people that can coach you through a process and see things that you might miss, because again, I wouldn't be where I am today without having made those connections. Third one, what's my third? Probably fill your ears with as much content as well, like learn, but not just in terms of property, in terms of mindset. I think you got to have a mind of steel, and you are going to get setbacks in this industry. You might get down valuations. An angel investor might pull out at the 11th hour. There are so many different things that can happen. You might get gazumped. You need to be able to keep going. You need to be able to keep moving your journey forward. And if you're not growing your brain, like by going to the gym and working on your consistency, listening to audiobooks, podcasts, reading, all of those things are going to stop you from falling off the wagon. And then it just being a nice pipe dream, and you're actually going to keep going it because your goal is going to be big enough and your mind is going to be strong enough to take it.
Yeah, I love that. It's absolutely beautiful. And there's 3 different things that people can work on, like 3 separate things, which is amazing. Yeah, mindset is so underrated, isn't it? Like it's kind of like catch-22 because you hear all these like gurus going on about mindset, and it just becomes like so unrealistic. But then it's like, no, these people, like, I understand once you start working on your mindset, I understand why they're built in that way and why they're coming across in that way as well. So yeah, get used to it.
yeah, it does make a difference. Yeah,
it does. Perfect. Thank you so much for jumping on. Is there any last points you wanted to cover?
No, I don't think so. I think we've had a good old chinwag. I think we've put the world to rights.
And where can people find you on social media? Is everything Ashley Dawn?
So I'm pretty sure across everything, all of mine are the same. So it's lady_Ashley_Dawn. So whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, if you put that in, you will find me.
I will put them below as well. But yeah, thank you so much and have a great rest of the day.